everyone, and welcome back to Practice English Fluency YouTube channel, your go-to podcast for current events and honest discussions. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mike. Today, we're tackling a very important and often controversial topic, immigration. Specifically, we'll focus on the migration of people from South American countries to the United States and the impacts of illegal immigration on American society.
Yes, Mike, immigration is always in the news, and recently, there's been a lot of talk about illegal immigration, the challenges it brings, and the impact on American society. Let's break it down into parts so we can understand it better.
Great idea! Let's start with one big question. Why do so many people from South America want to come to the United States?
Well, for many, it's about escaping difficult conditions in their home countries. Some face extreme poverty, violence, and political instability. For example, in countries like Venezuela, there's been a severe economic collapse, and in places like Honduras and El Salvador, gang violence is a daily reality. The U.S. offers hope a chance for a better life, safety, and opportunities to work.
Exactly, but when people cross the border illegally, it creates challenges for both sides. On one hand, they're looking for a better future. On the other hand, illegal immigration can affect jobs, social services, and even security in the U.S.
Let's talk about jobs first. Many Americans worrying that illegal immigrants take jobs away from citizens. Is that a valid concern, Mike?
It's a mixed picture, Sarah. Some studies show that undocumented workers often take low-paying jobs that Americans tend to avoid, like farm labor, meatpacking, or cleaning. These jobs are essential to certain industries, especially agriculture. But others argue that in industries like construction or manufacturing, competition for jobs can grow, which might lower wages for American workers.
Right, and it's not just about jobs, there's also the impact on social services. When undocumented immigrants use schools, hospitals, or other public services, it adds pressure to systems that are already stretched thin. For example, schools in border towns often report overcrowding.
That's true, and some people feel it's unfair since these immigrants don't always pay taxes the same way citizens do. But we should also remember that many undocumented immigrants contribute to the economy in other ways, like paying sales taxes, renting homes, and even working jobs where payroll taxes are deducted but never claimed.
Absolutely. Another concern people often bring up is crime. There's a perception that illegal immigration is linked to higher crime rates. What do the stats say about that?
This is a sensitive issue, Sarah. While some people believe illegal immigration increases crime, many studies show that immigrants, including undocumented ones, are less likely to commit crimes than native-born Americans. However, there are cases where criminal organizations exploit immigration routes for drug trafficking or human smuggling, and that's a very real concern.
And that brings us to policy. One of the most debated policies in recent years was under President Trump, the crackdown on illegal immigration and the push for deportations. Let's dive into that. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Well, Trump's administration took a hardline approach, enforcing strict border security, building portions of the border wall, and increasing deportations. Supporters of these policies argue that it protected American jobs and enhanced national security. But critics point out the human cost. For example, the family separation policy was one of the most controversial aspects.
The family separation issue was heartbreaking. No matter where you stand politically, seeing children separated from their parents is hard to justify. It sparked a lot of protests and backlash from human rights organizations.
Definitely, and it's important to mention that many people felt these policies created fear in immigrant communities. Even among those who were here legally, the fear of raids and deportations disrupted lives and led to mistrust between immigrant communities and local authorities.
So, where do we go from here? How can we address illegal immigration in a way that's fair, compassionate, and effective? For example, what about improving the asylum process?
That's a great point. The asylum process is often slow and overwhelmed. Streamlining it could help people who truly need protection, like those fleeing violence or persecution, while discouraging abuse of the system. Some also suggest creating more legal pathways for work visas to reduce illegal crossings.
And what about addressing the root causes of migration? Countries like the US could work with South American governments to improve conditions in those countries, tackling issues like poverty, corruption, and violence. That might reduce the need for people to leave in the first place.
It's a good long-term strategy, but it's not easy. It requires significant investment and cooperation, and results might take years. In the meantime, we still need to address border security and the treatment of those who are already here.
It's clear that there's no easy solution. This is a complex issue that affects millions of lives, but conversations like this one are a step in the right direction. The more we understand, the better we can find common ground.
Well said, and to our listeners, we want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about immigration and how it's handled? Send us your comments or questions on social media.
Thanks for tuning in to Practice English Fluency YouTube channel. We'll see you next time for another important discussion.